Yo, what's up YouTube? So, in today's video, I will be reacting to the dramatic showdown, the France online qualifiers. This online qualifier specifically is pretty notorious for what went on. I haven't watched the actual whole grand finals yet. I have seen clips and it does look a little silly, but I would like to see the whole gameplay to see the complete context of it all. I did watch a few of the matches beforehand. It did not really seem as bad as the grand finals, but there are some issues that did happen, such as maybe the charged key blast loop is a little too strong, but it is a true combo and they can't super counter it. There's really not a way out of it other than just avoid being put in it in the first place, so you gotta vanish the low sweep that they use to set it up. So yeah, there's that. And then there was people really abusing that one thing where when you switch a character out, then they do that little follow-up. They use a revenge counter to freeze their opponent's character in place so they could charge key and maybe set them up. I'm not sure if that's an intended mechanic. What else was there? And then the trunk step-in mechanic to avoid vanish wars. I'm not sure if that's an intended mechanic. So many things that if you're going to host a tournament for a game that you're not patching consistently, you have to know where the exploits are, right? Where the potential things that are not intended mechanics. Maybe put character bans. Maybe tell people that they're going to be disqualified if they do certain things. I think in the UK qualifiers, people were putting items on their characters when it's supposed to be no item matches, but people were doing it anyway. And it seems like the commentators had no clue about what was going on. I see all of these things and I'm like, okay, I'm not sure if they're intended mechanics by the devs. The item thing is definitely not an intended mechanic, but a lot of these things could be exploits, and there should have been rules put in place that if you're going to exploit the game, you will be disqualified, such as putting items on your characters when it's a no item match, right? So it seems like the people hosting the tournaments don't really understand the game all too much. In my opinion, that if you're going to host a tournament on a game that's not being consistently patched, you should allow the players to choose character bans. Maybe each player could ban 5 characters from the cast, and that's that, right? And you could see each other's team. So if you see they're playing a certain team, you could counterplay it. So what was going on with all the dashing around in these games? There is a way to counter it. That's not to say that just because there is a way to counter it means that I don't think it should be changed, right? A lot of my videos, I show ways to counter a lot of these cheesy methods. It's not to say that this game doesn't need any changing. It's only to show you guys how to have a fighting chance against the cheese. And that's not to say that it's easy to pull off the counters. It's not to say it's the answer, but it's to help you guys have a chance against it and maybe have a little bit of fun. That way it's more of a challenge instead of something that you cannot get over, right? So a lot of people misinterpret my videos and they go oh, this guy thinks he has all the answers, this guy thinks the game doesn't need any patching. No, I'm just showing you guys a small counter. It may not be the strongest counter, but it gives you a small fighting chance, and that just because I show you guys there's a counter to it doesn't mean that I don't think the game needs any changing, right? So I'm going to show you guys at the end of the video how I would have dealt with this. So yeah, I don't want you guys to misinterpret it, but without further ado, let's start reacting to the grand finals.
That's coming up in December for the game, so who knows what they're going to do with the game moving forward. But for what it is, the game is a ton of fun, man. You've got to imagine the DLC coming up as well. We've got Diamond DLC.
Okay, so this is the infamous clip where both of them are just dashing up and down.
So
Hiliaster, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He does try to engage. Some people are saying that this was done on purpose, that both of them dash around to show how broken it is. Well, if you don't notice it, whenever they dash around, Dr. Giro and Android 19 do not consume any ki when they dash. But ironically, they will consume ki when they do a short dash. Again, not sure if it's an intended mechanic. That's why it's important for the developers to let us know what was intended and what will be changed. That way, you could just implement rules within the tournaments that you are hosting yourself.
If you have a tactic where it's like, I'm gonna burn
Right? If you go like, okay, my bad, we didn't mean to have androids 19 and 20 to be able to drag and dash around without any key. We will change that. The tournament we're hosting, we will ban those characters.
Oh yeah, we're swapping out.
So simple.
What? We're doing it
But
again.
they don't do that because they probably didn't know that it could be exploited like this.
All right, okay. These guys.
So,
all right.
yeah, I don't know.
There's a gentleman's agreement in effect. There has to be. These fellas, I refuse to believe otherwise.
Yeah, what is going on here? Come on. Talk
These guys are like.
It seems like Heliostor is trying to engage
We go until 2 a.m.
and trying to catch him out of his Dragon Dash. Sometimes if you randomly swing when you're close to him or within that small barrier, you could hit him out of the upwards dashing. I think they call it elevatoring.
It's been great, man. I really, I'm really happy. I'm really happy to hang out with my son a little bit later. We've been watching all of Dragon Ball.
Okay, yeah, this is when they decide to stop watching the fight, and I think they pull them aside and in the Discord they pull them aside and say that you guys should take the fight seriously. So let's skip to round 2. I think Shiryu wins the first game.
Isn't
Okay, so technically I did watch that first game through just clips, so I knew what was going on. I don't think I've seen round 2.
Gonna be against Shiryu.
Okay, this is with Trunks. I did see a little bit of this through clips, so this will be interesting. A lot of people were using Trunks because, like I said earlier, he has a mechanic where he could stop Vanish Wars by stepping in and then immediately combo them. I think you have to go Super Saiyan for that, which goes to show that it might not be an intended mechanic. It's a very character-specific thing.
And just starting out here.
But again, that's why it's important for the developers to communicate with us to let us know what is intended and what will be changed. And thus, if you plan on changing it and let us know it's not an intended mechanic, then you could then put rule sets. If you use it, then you will be disqualified. Simple.
Is anyone actually gonna...
But again, it seems like they don't know the issues of their game.
Alright, Sparking Mode active for Trunks.
But who knows? Maybe it was intended for Trunks to be one of the few characters that could stop a Vanish War, and thus super countering him and forcing him into a Vanish War is not the answer, and thus a very, very difficult character to fight.
That was clean, actually. Yeah. Good stuff.
He's trying to catch him during his elevatoring, right? When you change directions from up and down or down to up, you could catch him with a super, but it's pretty easy to avoid. As you can see, you just gotta do a short dash away from it.
He's not going up and down for the moment.
ups and downs in all of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
That's Shiryu with the lead.
Throwing that out again. Did it? Okay.
If this were me, this is not what I would be doing. I would not be spending as much all this key and resources on trying to fight this. Although I get it, like this is probably like a desperate attempt to stop it. I will say that this this dashing around by the androids, the keyless dashing, like first off, this is a very strong evasive tactic. If you've faced anybody who dashes up and down, it's very strong. Like whenever people go sparking mode on me, I just dash up and down, and I most times will stall out their sparking. But the thing is that it costs key. So by the time I'm done stalling out their sparking, they have a full key gauge, and I have 0 key left. But you could see how it takes no key for the androids to dash around.
All right. Again, this
and like I said earlier, ironically, it does take key to do a short dash.
He's got some chip damage at least on the board.
Like
to connect.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, Shiryu taking no damage right now.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if they did implement character bans. I don't know the full rule set of this tournament. I do know that these are 10-minute rounds as opposed to 6-minute rounds. But some of the bans they should put are maybe like androids 19 and 20. I don't know, like I keep saying, I don't know if Trunks' Vanish War Cancel is a intended mechanic. It is a very strong mechanic, because once he steps in, that's a free punish. That is a free punish. It would be more fair if you could block his punish, but you can't. So he will get a free combo on you if you get a super counter off on him. Although I did hear that the timing, I don't know, I think people have told me the timing on it is not the easiest, but even then, if you get it off, that's a free combo basically. But you can see how Hillisteer is, he's having a lot of trouble catching Android 19, and Android 19 could just do this forever. And it's nice that they do have like an evasive tool in this game, right? It's nice, but the issue is that it should cost a lot more ki, and it's crazy that Android 19 could do it for free. Oh, I also heard that they pulled a Hilster specifically aside and told him to change his characters. So that's why he's not using Dr. Gero anymore. Whereas they didn't say that to Shiryu, and that's why he's still doing this. So I think that was an unfair thing. They should have told both of them to not use these characters. But at the end of the day, they should have told everyone that, you know, there are certain characters that are banned. Which I guess maybe they'll do that in the future. I think the best way to do it is each player could choose to ban up to 5 characters or something like that. That way, there's no excuse for them to complain. If there's a certain character they do not want to go against because they deem it as broken themselves personally, then they could just ban it. Simple. It doesn't have to be 5 characters. Maybe it could be 3 characters. Maybe it could be like 10 characters. I don't know. But I do think putting a character ban in the rule set is probably the best way to go if you're not going to immediately patch this game. Which in the first place, I don't think they should have held a tournament on such a game that's so young, right? Like, there are a lot of issues, and this game is not ready for competitive play. I think you should have at least had a good amount of patches and see how many broken things are in the game. Like, almost every game when it first comes out, people are like, I understand the devs are not going to catch everything, right? So you let the players play, and then they find broken things, and then you fix it. And then once you've fixed enough things, it might be ready for competitive play. This game is not ready for competitive play. All they've done was do one immediate patch to change the Yajirobe Sensu Bean thing. And had they not patched that, people would have found a way to counter it. Like, I think if they never changed it, I would have been able to deal with it nowadays, right? So the Yajirobe Sensu Bean thing was just the tip of the iceberg, the very tip of the iceberg. They're engaging now. Nice. You could see here, I think it's right. You could see here, maybe the Trunks will do the step-in thing. But you can see how Shiryu, he's forced to only try to super counter him, because that's basically the best way to avoid Trunks opening you up with the with Vanish Wars. Yep, oh, right there. You can see, let's go back. You see how he stepped in and stopped the Vanish War and immediately comboed him? This is why Shiryu is going for super counters only, or trying to. And like I keep saying, I don't know if that's an intended mechanic. We need more communication from the devs. Let us know what is intended or not, and what you plan on changing. Clearly, one thing that we know is not supposed to be intended is when is allowing items in matches where items are turned off. And it's crazy that people are coming in with items in a tournament. You need to stay in the rule sets. This is why we need people who play the game to make the rule sets. Like, if I were making the rule sets, I'd say, okay, character bans, and if you do this or that, you will be disqualified. And it's so simple. Of course, it would be best if they just released a patch fixing all of that. The best route would have been to never even hold this tournament. Like, be patient. Let the game grow a little bit. Patch the game a little bit before you host a tournament. Okay, they're actually engaging now. Dr. Gero is pretty low on health. If I were Hillister, I would switch out Trunks so I could gain more health. Yeah, a lot of people were using Trunks and using his standing charged Ki Blast because it's unblockable. So Trunks has a lot of good tools. And especially that one mechanic. It's not just specific to him. I know some sword characters like Tapion, I think Janemba could do it too, but it's a sword character thing. But each one is slightly different to the character, right? I believe Super Saiyan Trunks, or Super Saiyan Dragon Ball Super Trunks could do it the most easily or the most versatile. Because he could do it in most situations. Whereas I believe like Dragon Ball Z Trunks, he could only do it when he's the one who starts the Vanish War. Does he finish Gero here? He does finish Gero. Okay, nice. He downed the character. That's massive. That's funny. He's still dashing up and down despite both of them not being locked on to each other. It seems like Shiryu doesn't really care about the outcome of this game. He just wants to dash up and down. Which, like I said, people said that he did this on purpose to show the devs that they need to fix this game ASAP. Which, if that's true, then that's cool, you know. Because I do agree, they shouldn't have hosted a tournament for such a young game. Kinda greedy. Mr. Satan could kind of do the same thing because he does come in with a full ki gauge and his dashing doesn't take up much ki, so he could kind of do the same thing. Although if you do catch Mr. Satan, you should be able to finish him off in a few combos. He doesn't have access to super perception, so if you just spam heavy attacks on him, it'll be pretty easy to down him. Except that Mr. Satan... Except that if you're doing this against high level players, they will probably vanish your heavy attack, so easier said than done. I don't know their teams. I think Hillister is using Z Trunks and Super Trunks. I'm not sure who else is on the team. But if Hillister has a 5-man team and he downed Dr. Gero, he should win this game. And Shiryu is not engaging. He should be engaging even though, like, because he's losing this game. Is Hillister using like a 3-man or 4-man team? How did he lose that?
All right, so there we go, guys. You saw the game.
I don't think
Shiryu ends up taking
Shiryu downed any of his characters. I don't know what team he's using.
Battle Hour using that UI Goku.
Yep. So we're going to be seeing them in LA utilizing the UI Goku. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and talk about the rest of the schedule coming up here. And yeah, it's going to be even more tournament action.
I'm confused. I'm very confused.
You know, we had the end of this match for the weekend for France, but on the
I'm very confused on how he won that game.
Spain, both on the same day. And
Hillister must be using a 4-man team, which
Italy. It's going to be on December 1st, and then right on afterwards, it's
at the very highest level, you should be using a 5-man team.
To finish out the dramatic.
You should be using a 5-man team.
To lead up to the Battle Hour finals.
I will say, this sounds okay. Let me pause the video. I will say this sounds very harsh, but I was watching a few of the earlier matches, and it's like I was disappointed at the skill level of some of these players. Like, I remember watching a match that Shiryu had against another android, and he wasn't really teching any of the throws. Shiryu is a good player. Like, in general, he does seem like a good player. Like, his combos are nice. He does have good movement. But how is he not teching the throws? Maybe he's doing it on purpose, not teching the throws. But when an android gets a throw off on you, that is a massive. That's massive. That's a lot of damage that's gonna happen to the momentum of the game. And I don't know. I watched the Germany and the Mexico qualifiers, and the grand finals. The skill level of it, in my opinion, wasn't that great. I've come across people who seemed more skilled in my ranked matches, right? And that's not to say that I think I'd win, right? Maybe these guys are crumbling under the pressure. I'd definitely crumble under pressure. I don't do very well in competitive environments where I'm under a lot of pressure. So I can't really criticize all too much. But the skill level doesn't seem all too great. And that was a pretty lackluster finals. I don't understand how Hillister lost that game. Maybe someone could tell me if he's using a 4-man team instead of a 5-man team. That's probably why he lost, because he downed the Juro, and I don't think Shiryu downed any of his characters. So how did he lose that game? He has to be using less than a 5-man team, and that's not good at the highest level. The most important thing, the number one thing, is having a 5-man team. That is the number one thing. Everything else comes second. You could use the weirdest characters and still be able to beat a lot of people. 5-man team is the most important. If you're going to have a 4-man team or even a 3-man team, you have to use characters that are really, really, really strong, like Z Broly or Super Broly, because they're capable of just wiping out characters if they need to. But yeah, that was a little crazy. But I'm going to show you guys what I would have done in such a situation. Okay, if I were facing against someone who was using androids, this would probably be my team, right? The two most important characters to dealing with someone who's going to use androids, and especially someone who might just be dashing up and down and stalling out the game, would be Lord Slug and Dr. Wheelo. If I were competing, I'd probably maybe switch out Adult Gohan for Teen Gohan. I do think Adult Gohan has a little more overall versatility, but if I could manage to transform to SS2, Teen Gohan's SS2 is way better than Adult Gohan's SS2, because Teen Gohan has a Perception Gut Punch, and his ultimate is unblockable, right? SS2 Gohan, Adult Gohan just does a lot of damage, but I do believe that both SS2 Gohans do equal amounts of damage. Reason why I just use Adult Gohan over Teen Gohan is not only is he more versatile in his base form, but if he transforms to Super Saiyan, he's still a little better than Super Saiyan 1 Teen Gohan. And I just simply like Adult Gohan a little more than Teen Gohan. But let me show you guys why I would use giant characters against Android players. Is Lord Slug, one, he has Explosive Wave. So in case if I do get caught in the back, right, and they try to use that loop on me, that Ki Blast loop, which is this, right? If you get someone's back, you can just do this over and over, right? You could just, although I'm not doing it right, but the end, like you could do that loop over and over, and you could do, I think, from what I saw, they were able to do 30 hits total of that, and that would do nearly like 12 to 16k damage, which is insane. So as soon as they do a low, if I didn't vanish their low sweep and they go and take my back, as soon as they do that, I'd probably just use an Explosive Wave and get them off of me, right, and avoid it. Now, if I saw that they were trying to do the dash up and down cheese method, I'd probably just transform to a giant, right, and I'd just transform to a giant and use this thing, because this will track them regardless of if they're dashing up or down. This will track them. And again, the same concept, if they catch me, I have Explosive Wave, so I'll be fine. And Lord Slug charges Ki very quickly. And he has 2 androids, 19 and 20. I have 2 giants. So if they try to do this on my Dr. Wheelo, I will be doing the same thing, right? And Dr. Wheelo has a barrier, and even better, he has full power, right? So I could just spam this if that's what they plan to do. And of course, there is a tech to counter this. If you dash all the way to the top of the map, you will be able to avoid the Z-Burst dash, the unblockable dash from giants. But hey, that's better than getting stalled. Like that situation of them avoiding my Z-Burst dash, unblockable, is better than just getting stalled out from the elevatoring. So if they dash all the way up here, okay, just engage with me. I'll swing on you instead. And then if you try to do it again, I will Z-burst dash at you. And I know people will be like, oh, fighting cheese with cheese is not fun, but that's how it's gonna be like, right? It's not like I do this online in a normal match, but if you're going to do that to me, I know this is the way to counter it, right? And with Gohan, he does have full power charge, so against androids, I could probably overcome the key advantage that they build with full power charge. And also, not to mention, if Gohan were to transform to Super Saiyan 1, not Super Saiyan 2, he has access to both Explosive Wave and full power charge. So if they catch my back and try to put me in the Ki Blast loop, I could just use Explosive Wave and get them off of me and reset the engagement. If they have Ki advantage on me, I can do full power charge. And yeah, so I have 3 characters that could potentially counter androids. Does that mean it's going to be easy? No, but it gives me a way better fighting chance than, for example, if I use like Master Roshi against them, because he doesn't really have the tools to fight against what androids have, which androids have basically free key dashing and a key advantage at all times. So you need to use characters that are able to stop them from dashing around like that, and also use characters that will gain key. Fun fact, Dr. Relo is also an android character, and he will gain key perpetually. You guys will see. Yep. You see how he's gaining key perpetually? He is an android archetype. So this could help also, because I could gain more than 2 key bars, and thus gain key advantage on androids 19 and 20. Androids 19 and 20 will gain their first 2 key bars very, very quickly, but they will not perpetually gain past that. Only the other androids will do that. So Android 19 and 20 are quite the unique androids. But again, giant characters. Dr. Wheelo specifically counters Android 19 and 20 pretty badly. We have to fight cheese with cheese. Like I said earlier, it's not like I play like this normally, but if someone's going to pull this on me in a tournament, this is what I would do to answer it. And again, like I keep saying, just because there is a counter to it, it might not be a hard counter, doesn't mean I don't think things need to be patched, right? I'm just showing you guys how to deal with it in the meantime. And if they don't patch it, then that's very unfortunate. At least you have this information to help you have a fighting chance. Or maybe you could quit the game. It's totally up to you. And also, not to mention, giants cannot be grabbed by androids, so they could counter the grab. And androids are low DP characters, so yeah, they won't be able to break through my super armor immediately. Again, that's not to say that, oh, we don't need to change it, there's a counter in the game. No, we still need to fix things, but this will, maybe someone who is competing in the tournament will see what I'm saying and be able to apply this to the next qualifier or to the tournament itself. Unless they implement character bans, right? But I have seen people say that they're dealing with this online. If you're dealing with this online, I highly recommend you use Lord Slug, because Lord Slug's base form is really, really good in the first place. So if you don't want to cheese and transform to a giant character, you don't have to. But if you see someone has Android 19 or 20 on their team, you could then transform and just out-cheese them, right? Counter their cheese with this cheese. Here's an example of me doing it to someone online. I was already beating him without needing to transform to the giant, but I do it anyway to counter him even harder. You could see me kind of smiling because this is funny. He thinks he could cheese me with the androids. Oh, I should also mention, giant characters will break through false courage armor. So giant characters like Lord Slug, Dr. Wheelo will absolutely counter a lot of what goes on with the androids 19 and 20. Their main things is key advantage. Lord Slug charges key very quickly. Their other thing is that they like to grab. You can't grab giant characters. And the other thing is that they love to use false courage. False courage does not work on giant characters, as you can see. And you see how much he's struggling against my Lord Slug. Yep, he really does not stand a chance. And I could switch here and preserve my Lord Slug even more. I'm just trolling him. If this were a tournament, I'd have used Explosive Wave by now and switch out my Lord Slug and just preserve my Lord Slug to the max.
Do not bother, it is futile.
I got this.
And now here he is rage quitting on me because I was able to absolutely counter what he was trying to do with the androids. He rage quit, yeah, right there. You can see me just laughing at it. Maybe I should do well, I'm going to do a Lord Slug character spotlight soon, but I guess this is kind of like a character spotlight. Take it as like a semi-character spotlight. I will say that if you haven't used giant characters, one, your physical attacks will not work on the ground, right? So take note of that. You will always miss if they're on the ground. I don't think you could grab them either. Interesting. Okay, yeah, you can't grab either. So the only way to attack them when they're on the ground is you gotta hit them with a charged smash attack. Get them off the ground, right? Get them in the sky. And if they dash all the way up to the sky, just don't Z-burst dash at them. Just swing on them. That works too. So yeah, just know how to play giant characters. Yeah, that's how I would counter what happened in the game, in the matches. I don't know how to counter. There's really no way to counter Trunks' step-in mechanic, but if I faced against someone who's using the Trunks tech, then I would probably just choose a different team. But you could see each other's teams during the online qualifiers, I think. I'm sure you can. But yeah, if someone was using Android players, well, I think if you lose the game, you're allowed to change your team. Had I lost to that Android tech of dashing up and down, all of that, then I'd probably just switch to giant characters. I'd use Lord Slug. But yeah, if you're dealing with this online and online ranked matches, use Lord Slug. I highly recommend using Lord Slug. And yeah, that's basically it. If you guys learned something, like and subscribe. Have a good Thanksgiving, you guys.